She has a great book blog called Off the Beaten Shelf, and she runs 2 different book clubs. One is called Bad Girls Book Club, and the other is Silent Book Club Columbus. She originally hails from Alabama. Please welcome to the stage, Mandy Shunnarah.
So, first, real quick, where'd it go? Would you like your notebook back?
I got that too. It's expensive.
Thank you, Meryl. Thank you, Story Club. Thank you, Rambling House. Thanks to all of you. So the theme for tonight was gift. But sometimes you're given a gift, and at the time you don't really realize it's a gift. It's like, what am I ever going to do with this? So you throw it in a drawer, file it in the back of your mind. It's promptly forgotten. But this is a story about getting a really random gift and getting to use it in the most random and epic way. So, when I was in 4th grade, I had this English teacher named Mrs. England. I shit you not, Miss England, the English teacher. And she and I would kind of like butt heads because I'm from Alabama, and English is kind of a difficult language for redneck children such as myself. So, okay, for example, take the simple word at. At, A-T. Okay, so we know that's how it's spelled. If for some reason you forget, you do what every teacher tells you to do when you can't spell something, which is sound it out. Well, if you pronounce it correctly when you sound it out, you still get A-T. However, if you look through things that I wrote as a 7- and 8-year-old, you would see that I frequently misspelled it as E-T because my relatives will say things like, I was looking all over for you, where was you at? Which, if you sound that out, is E.T. So, one day Miss England says she wants us to write a short story using all of our spelling words for that week. Easy enough. So I decide I want my dog, my cute little rat terrier named Princess, to be the star of my story. Except there was one problem. For whatever reason, I just totally blanked and could not remember how to spell my dog's name. Completely just blanked. So we know Princess is spelled P-R-I-N-C-E-S-S.
Sure.
Well, if you pronounce it right, you still basically get princess. Same way. But if you pronounce it like my mama did, which is princess, then you get P-R-I-N-T-C-I-S-S. And so now I'm conflicted because I don't know which way is the right way. I did the sounded out thing, so I thought I was on the right track. So I write princess down, and then I think, okay, that looks better. That looks kind of weird. I better ask. So I go up to Miss England's desk, and I say, Miss England, where is the T in princess? And she says, what? And I said, where is the T in princess? And she looks at me like I'm the stupidest kid she's ever seen. And she says, honey, where on earth would you put a T in princess? And of course she said it right, so that gave me my answer. And so now I'm trying to like awkwardly slink back to my desk. And she says, no, come back here. I want to know what on earth gave you the idea that princess had a T in it? So then I had to explain that my whole life, since we got the dog, my mom had been calling her princess. And I was starting to question everything like, is my dog's name been spelled wrong this entire time? Like, holy shit. So I'm having like an existential crisis. And the whole time Miss England was just looking at me like, oh, come on. And finally she goes, just go sit down. Just go sit down. And she's probably having one of those moments where she's like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I in education? These kids are worthless. And so she never did tell me how to spell it. But that wasn't the first time that Miss England and I kind of butted heads. She also liked to go really overboard with lessons, and so she liked to do things like have us stand ramrod straight and recite lists, like, for example, the helping verbs. So she would stand up at the front of the class and she would look like a sad conductor. And then when she gave the signal, how, has, had, do, does, did, shall, will, should, would, may, might, must, can, could. And if our posture or elocution was not to her liking, she would stop us in the middle, the beginning and do it 3 more times. So you better believe I'm ready to like elbow the shit out of any kid who I see slouching. And so, like, this was just all rote memorization. There was no actual learning happening. Like, another list that she had us memorize was the article adjectives. This one was kind of easy because there's only 3 of them, A and the. But again, with the rote memorization, I remember this one in particular because that 4th grade year, if I ever couldn't put myself to sleep, if I just like could not fall asleep, I would sing to myself to the tune of 3 Blind Mice. A and the, A and the, A and the, A and the. I wish I didn't have to stand up and shout. It's really not fun and it stresses me out. A and the, A and the. Why do I have to memorize these adjectives? Because when am I ever going to use all this shit? Makes me want to shout out some expletives. A and the, A and the. But it got worse. Because at some point, you really just start to wonder, like, why am I doing this? When am I ever going to use this? And because it's rote memorization, like, it starts to burrow in your brain, and you really can't forget the stuff if you tried. Like, you are going to remember it forever. And so it gets really frustrating because you know you're never going to use it. But, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary people, I stand before you corrected because I was wrong. I did end up using it. Fast forward to 7th grade, and we moved. So I'm in a completely different school district with completely different teachers and completely different kids, none of whom have apparently had such militaristic English training. So I have, instead of Miss England, and straight up like pure evil English teacher. Her name is Miss Wicker, and her favorite hobby is telling kids they're stupid, which she could get away with because she was tenured and about a year away from retirement. More or less, Miss Wicker had been fresh out of bucks to give for the better part of 40 years, and she was not about to muster another one for me or anybody else. Like, she would never call on the people who had their hands up to answer a question. She would specifically call on the people that she knew had no idea what was going on. Like, there would literally be a kid in the back, like, picking the seeds out of marijuana and sniffling a lot. She would pick him. Meanwhile, there's a girl on the front row who's like, oh my God, pick me, pick me, pick me. And she would never do it. Like, this girl was about to bust a hernia trying to make her arm grow another 5 feet, and Miss Wicker would never pick her. So, after a point, we kind of just, like, all got in, like, solidarity together. Like, if she called on you, you didn't answer, nobody raised their hand. It was like us against her, you know? And the thing was, we figured out that it was a lose-lose situation, so why not do this? Because if we answered wrong, she would say things like, come on, we just went over this. Were you behind the door when God passed out the brains? I know. And if we answered right, she would mumble under her breath, wow, I never would have guessed she had known that. So it really was a lose-lose situation. So a couple weeks into the school year, we're going over the section on prepositions. And she's going over the room like she normally does. She's like, Jimmy, name me a preposition. Silence. Samantha, name me a preposition. Silence. Stephen, name me a preposition. Silence. She's starting to get pissed off because it's just more and more silence. Nobody is taking the bait. And so she says, what is wrong with you kids? Like, no one can name me a single preposition? Not one of you knows a single preposition? Don't make me go around the room and keep calling on people, because I will. I'll call on every single one of you until I get one. Jimmy? No. Timothy? No, of course you don't. Finally, she says, Mandy, name me a preposition. That's when I stand up and say, I never thought you'd ask. Aboard, about, above, across, after, against, along, amongst, around, at, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, beyond, by, down, during, except, for, from, in, inside, into, like, near, up, on, over, past tense, through, throughout, to, toward, under, underneath, until, up, upon, with, within, without.
Yeah.
all staring at Miss Wicker like, all right, your move. And she is speechless. And so nobody's moving, nobody's saying anything. So that was when I said, who's stupid now? And then everyone cheered. It was like Revenge of the Nerds. Everyone cheered. We all filed out to the hallway. It was like nerdy mayhem. And that was the day Miss Wicker stopped calling kids in my class stupid. And also, how I managed to convince the entire 7th grade class that I was a super genius, which is not true, but I didn't bother to correct them because I was the new kid in town, and that raised my social standing quite a bit. And thus, I owe one of the strangest and most random gifts to Mrs. England, the most militaristic English teacher that has ever been.